Welcome back to Inside City Hall. We're going to turn our focus now to the race for Queens Borough President. The special election to fill this borough-wide position is going to be held on March 24th. It was vacated by Melinda Katz, who is now the Queens District Attorney. We've been introducing you to some of the candidates in this crowded race. Tonight, I'm joined by another one of them. Anthony Miranda is a retired NYPD sergeant and founder of the National Latino Officers Association. Welcome. Very good to see you.
Well, good to see you again.
What makes you decide to do this? I know you've been in and around politics for, I've known you, I guess, for a couple of decades now. Why this race?
Again, this is about representing a community. Again, I've been a community activist and civil rights organizer for a very long time. But this race was about having true honesty, hearing the voice of the community. You have elected officials, everybody who's named in this race that's supposed to be representing Queens, have all been compromised by special interests. You know, big developers have been funding their campaigns, and they can no longer represent the community fairly. So this is an opportunity when you talk to people. They said they're tired of politics as usual, and they were looking for a different voice. So hearing that voice, and then I decided to enter that race. My background and my community work is what supports me in that effort.
I'm used to hearing from you on citywide issues. You know, I guess I vaguely knew that you were in Queens. What neighborhood are you from?
I'm from Fresh Meadows.
Okay.
Fresh Meadows. I get, 3 boys. My wife live in Fresh Meadows. My youngest son, 12 years old, still goes to Bell Academy in Queens.
Okay, awesome. So what would be your top priorities if you should be elected?
My top priority, I have a few of them, but the top one would be to make sure that the community's interests. We have massive luxury buildings being built in our district. Affordable housing is the priority, but unfortunately, massive developers are funding the campaigns and compromising the decisions that are being made. It's amazing that they are in a position to approve these projects, even at the city council level, have been approving all of these projects in our district. Meanwhile, they've been receiving funds from the developers, the top 1%. So when you're compromising in that area, you can no longer serve the purpose of the communities, and they haven't been doing it. Remember, affordable so far, these luxury buildings that they're building has been $2,000 or more. You have to earn $80,000 or $100,000 just to qualify. It's not supposed to be that way. Truly affordable means it's income-based, and then we are actually building, when we build in a community, we want to build it toward the income of that community you're building in. And then give those residents of the community a priority about the living there.
Let me ask you this, because this is a very core question. It's been debated over the last few years. Would you rather have fewer units that are more deeply affordable and maybe pitched to the existing income level in a particular neighborhood, or something closer to what de Blasio has done, which is, sometimes it's a little bit more affordable to bring in members of the upper middle class as well?
No, I think you need to make it affordable. It has to be built toward what the community looks like, right? When you have small homes or smaller buildings and you're building buildings at 35 floors, it doesn't fit the neighborhood. And again, they're not being built. When we talk about affordable, we talk about real answers about how many apartments are we talking about, not what they put out there. There's no real, again, you put this up 15%, 20%. When the community turns around and says, what does that mean exactly? How many apartments? Usually they're single bedroom apartments. They're not built to bring families in. And again, they're not giving priority to the community residents. So how can we continue to allow that type of development? Nowhere does it fit the makeup of the Queens community at all, and it's being done all over Queens.
Have you taken the pledge that some candidates have, not necessarily in this race, but are you taking money from real estate interests? And if you get some, would you send it back?
We have not taken any, and we will give it back if anybody decides to do it without our knowledge. We'll be absolutely giving it back. I think integrity for the position has to be there. Again, our communities are looking for a voice that will represent their interests, not compromise. And that's what I come to the table with. I have not been compromised, and all the issues over the years that we've addressed collectively have been actually citywide. But Queens now, we're focusing on the level of incidents that are going on there as well. And there are a lot of law enforcement issues. There are issues about the public education system being overcrowded. Again, how can you spend billions of dollars and then not have enough schools for your kids? How can you give away tax abatements to so many businesses and not help the small business owners who are being put out of our communities?
Where were you on the Amazon deal that fell through?
Amazon deal was a bad deal because, again, so many tax breaks, and then it was a company that historically has abused its workers. Now, I understand there were some labor jobs that were given out because the unions are doing the construction work, but the overall project was a bad project. But the failure here was that we didn't have an alternate project to immediately go in afterwards, because we still need jobs in the community. And then, depending on who you talk to, it's 20,000 to 30,000 jobs. They throw these numbers out there. What kind of jobs were they? What were the positions? Not just the lower levels, incomes, managers. There are different things that we have to ask for. They weren't asking the right questions.
So if that deal were offered at a time when you were the Queens Borough President, where in the conversation would you have gone? Would you have been with the, because as I recall, there were people who, within days of the thing being announced, were like holding protests saying, we don't want the deal, let's get rid of it.
And when you leave the people out of the conversation, when you leave the community being the last ones to be informed of what's going on, then we have a problem. You had even all the people running for office right now have both for and against. They flip-flop back and forth. Why? Because when it became popular, they changed their positions and their views. So they weren't key on what the concerns for the community. The community wants jobs. They do want development. They want responsible development that's going to support the community effort. They didn't do the infrastructure studies, what was going to strain on the infrastructure, right? The capacity, right? When we build, even luxury buildings have a capacity strain on our current resources in Queens. If Queens is already overcrowded in schools, the train system is not, it doesn't exist for us, right? We're one of the worst ever in the city. And they have never done anything to do it. You just drop another 100 families in there, and they've never done an infrastructure study to see what the additional strain is going to be on our community. Why would anybody approve something like that without being informed?
Okay, we are just about out of time. Did you support the closure of Rikers Island, by the way?
Rikers Island needed to be closed, absolutely, because again, but there were alternatives to the program. The city council already closed that door. Why are we having conversations about something that can't happen? Because the city council already passed a bill that said that no jail will be built on Rikers Island again.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess specifically the rebuilding of the house at Queens Gardens, the Queens House of Detention.
Well, the Queens House, again, that's another discussion. There's a building that exists that they now have to put into use. But again, the community has been left out of the conversation. If we're going to have fair representation, the Queens Borough President has that voice of the community. We can have public hearings and have community input of what's going to happen here. But again, they make a decision, they're leaving us out. Anytime you leave a community out of those, there's going to be some type of protest. They want answers, and they want accountability.
Okay. We welcome you and your voice and your perspective to the debate. We'll see you at a debate, I hope, in the near future. Thanks very much for coming by, Anthony Miranda.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
That's going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.